thank you both so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Ryan, I'm going to start with you. You've got a lot on the go. Maybe you can walk us through how this deal came together for you.
Well, if you're asking for the origin story, I mean, Canada's a pretty small country. So I was about 3 phone calls away for Phil to get in touch with me, and it was a lot of conversations, to be honest, over a couple of years. And I continue to not be an expert in fintech, but I do know stories, and I think I'm a pretty good read on people. And I loved everything that Phil had shared with me. Over and over again, he gave me a lot of details and a sort of a new appreciation and understanding for payments. That's for sure.
No doubt. And Philip, Ryan has proven to be a very savvy investor, but also a great brand representative for some of the companies he's worked with over these last few years. What's it like for you to be able to team up with somebody like Ryan Reynolds?
It's been fascinating, guys. I mean, his ability to take complex items and break them into simple, funny stories and bring humor around and connect our employees and change the narrative on something that is actually quite technical and boring and make it fun and humorous with humility has just been an exceptional part of, our journey. And we're really looking forward to working with Ryan and continue developing the Nuvei narrative.
Well, Ryan, let's stick with that story of kind of brand savvy. Immediately what comes to mind is the work you've done with the likes of Peloton, for example. We're in an era where banking, where fintech and payments in general are really hard for the average consumer outside of the world of Wall Street to understand. How do you plan to apply your brand savvy to a company that's in fintech?
Well, gosh, a couple of ways. I like the idea of promoting a Canadian company. The idea of a Canadian tech company, I think, is pretty unusual. Not because Canada isn't amazing, but because the U.S. has, by and large, dominated so much of the tech conversation. And also, fintech is another zag. Really, I like unusual moves. I think Aviation Mint, Deadpool, Wrexham were all relatively out of the box moves for their time and moment. And fintech is a sector that I don't know. Obviously, I don't know too much about, but I was interested in learning. It's a sector that a lot of people have run away from, but payments are pretty ubiquitous. I mean, these payments are pretty critical, and that's something I like about that. There's a huge market there for it.